And I just love the Rockford window with its message about the multi-faith nature of Unitarian Universalism. It is one of my favorite pieces of Unitarian Universalist art, as it affirms the sacred connections of our faith with the other religions of the world. For it is so true that we each arrived here in this very room via a different path. Some of us here were born into this faith, or perhaps participated in it from a very early age. Others of us discovered it along the way after being part of another faith, or perhaps no religion at all. Just as we are all the ages we have ever been, we are all the religious experiences we have ever been, growing and changing throughout our lives as we gain new insights or have new experiences or circumstances arise. Even those who are lifelong or long time Unitarian Universalists experience changes, sometimes profoundly, in their religious identity. We each carry our lifetime of religious experience with us when we participate in this intentional spiritual community. And you've heard me mention from time to time that I grew up Catholic and that I struggled with the faith from a very early age. And I'm aware that some of you have had some painful experiences, perhaps even traumatic ones, whether it be in Catholicism or other faiths. Whether it was negative messages or punishment for questioning, or perhaps very serious wounds like abuse. These wounds are real and affect us as we move through our lives, and I wish to acknowledge the gravity of these difficult spiritual experiences. But this morning I want to have us explore the spiritual concept of blessing, from the Latin benedictare, to speak well of something. Blessing, to speak well of something. I invite you this morning to set aside any past hurts, griefs, feelings, to explore the gifts of speaking well of your previous faith traditions. For truly, these are blessings that you carry forward with you. Now, as I'm speaking for a bit here, and we're doing some different things together, I'd like you to be asking yourself these questions. What things from my prior religious experience serve me well today? And which things influenced my development, my spiritual development, in ways that I now appreciate? So keep those musings in your mind as we continue on with the service. And so the first thing I'd like to do is, I'm wondering about you, each and every one of you. What is your experience with previous faiths? So as you're willing to share, and I'm hoping that you will be, I would like to just see who's in the room today. You can do this by standing, so we get a sense, and if standing's not what you'd like to do, you can do the raise hand thing. So let's just see who's in the room. Who here grew up Unitarian Universalist? Anybody? Okay, sometimes we... Charlie. Yeah, okay.
Jimmy and Charlie.
Okay. You know, I know we have some members who are, but they're obviously not here this Sunday. Who here grew up Catholic? Okay, Catholics. Who here grew up Jewish? Okay. Yeah. Who here grew up Methodist? Okay, great. Who here grew up Latter-day Saints? Yeah. That's not too surprising this morning. Okay. Who here grew up Presbyterian? Okay. Couple of, great. How about grew up Muslim? Okay. I have served congregations where we've had Muslims. How about grew up Baptist? Yeah. Great. How about grew up Congregational or United Church of Christ? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Who grew up Jehovah's Witness? No one in this crowd, okay. Christian Scientist? Okay. Pentecostal of some variety? Okay. How about grew up Hindu? Again, I've had congregants that have been Hindu in the past. Lutheran? Yep, got a Lutheran back there, Lutheran over here, okay. How about some other form of Protestant that I haven't mentioned specifically? Anglican, Episcopalians, of course. Of course. How about Eastern Orthodox Christianity? Pagan? Huh? Buddhist? How about grew up not participating in a faith community? Okay. And any others that I haven't thought of, that I haven't mentioned, that didn't include you? Okay? Okay. Well, I know we also have some among us who actively participate in more than one faith community. They choose to maintain close ties with another faith, and yet they find inspiration and comfort in Unitarian Universalism. This is not unusual in our faith. We have many hyphenated UUs out there, meaning a UU Catholic, UU Jew, UU Hindu, UU Buddhist, UU Pagan, and yes, UU LDS. And sometimes there's a situation with an interfaith family, and they find our faith particularly wonderful because it honors the traditions of both faiths, so they can be in both camps in a comfortable place, because we allow that multiplicity of religious thought and practice. It is one of the greatest blessings of our faith that it makes room for such intimate pluralism to live and flourish. So now here's another question. Who among you actively participates in another faith tradition? It's okay to admit this. You can stand if you actively participate in another faith tradition on a regular basis. Another one that is meaningful to you. Okay, thanks. And if you wouldn't mind, could you call out what that other faith tradition is? Paganism. Humanism. Somebody back here stood up? Let's see, whatever. And I know some of you also participate some with LDS faith. And those things are all good. They are all good. Because as you can see, right here in this room, we are the embodiment of this Rockford window, living our Unitarian Universalist faith as we continue to connect with other traditions, whether through our memories or our current practices. And so I'm going to be asking you to think some more right now about those questions I asked a few minutes ago. What things from your prior religious experience still serve you well today, and which things influenced your spiritual development in ways that you now appreciate? In other words, what are the blessings of your faith from childhood or from today? And in what way can you speak well of these other religious experiences? So I ask you to briefly consider here sharing just a smidgy bit about the blessings of your past faith, whether it be from the faith of your youth or other previous faiths, or earlier incarnations of Unitarian Universalism as well. And you can participate as you feel moved to do so. You do not have to participate in this. You can be a listener, a sacred listener. while we do this, I invite you to offer just one word or a simple phrase or at the most one sentence. And I'd love for you to share about which faith you're sharing about. And you can share, as I said, just a word or a simple phrase or a simple sentence about that faith, but also the blessings of your Unitarian Universalist faith. As you feel moved to speak, raise your hand. Tom and I are going to come down the aisle with some microphones, and we'll show you a little bit about what we mean. I say that I was raised Catholic, and I appreciate the gift of ritual that I learned there. And I appreciate my Unitarian Universalism for the freedom it gives me to explore the teachings of all these faiths.
And I grew up Methodist, and one of my most fond memory is that the church I belonged to trusted me as a teenager to play the carillon for the church and the city of Mishawaka, Indiana.
Great. So, looks like we've got some folks here. We'll start with the choir, and then we're coming your way.
I was raised LDS, and I appreciate the fact that I was taught that all people are brothers and sisters and children of God.
Right after I was born in the hospital, they asked my dad, for my birth certificate, what religion is he? My dad said, he hasn't decided yet. And, the blessing from being raised in no faith at all was I was a blank slate, and I was in an environment that totally supported my personal spiritual journey.
I was also raised LDS, and one of the things that I was taught was that truth matters, and it's worth searching for and fighting for, and that's something that I think will always stay with me.
I was raised LDS, and I just remember kind of sympathizing with the pagans more when we learned about the Bible, and I wanted to make sure that my children had their choice, and so that's why I love UU.
I was raised LDS, and I believe the thing that speaks to my heart now that I learned is that revelation is something that is personal and ongoing.
I attended the Christian and Missionary Alliance church as a child, and that has given me appreciation for the world. And even though their goal was Christianity for the world, mine is an appreciation of all cultures that have devised their own religions.
Being from a family who never went to church and seeing everybody else go to church, I thought it must be important. Secondly, my family left. Were very supportive of whatever I chose to believe.
I was raised Jewish, and the concept of tikkun olam, which means to heal the world, and an abiding commitment to service to humanity.
Like Dan said, I was raised with the freedom to choose, and I've always felt like a ship sailing to islands and seeing what everyone else was doing. And I love that bumper sticker someone has somewhere that says, "This is the church that questions the answers."
I was raised Catholic, and like Shelley, I grew to love ritual. And one of the things I love about this church is that ritual can be ongoing and reinvented, and to what is meaningful to us here and now.
I was raised LDS, and I love that in the LDS tradition, they always say that family is first and always focus on strengthening the family. And with the UU Church, I love that every member of my family is looked at equally and valued and important and able to participate and be a part.
I was raised LDS, and one of the things they taught there was one of the most important things was to learn as much as you can, and I think that's really important.
I was raised LDS as well, and I think the thing that has served me the greatest was the courage and the study that it took to flee from that has served me very well. So I continue to study and use that courage to love and expand myself personally and spiritually.
I was raised Baptist, and I think probably one of the best things about that was a good moral compass. What I love about being here is freedom.
I was raised LDS, and I think one of the things I appreciate the most is being taught the joy of serving others, and that when you sacrifice on behalf of other people, that you are blessed in return.
From my LDS background, I developed a very strong sense of family. That's something that served me quite extensively in life. Almost lost a lot of my family due to a number of things that happened, and I think because of our Mormon ties, that kept us together and brought us back together. From Catholicism, I developed a very strong sense of tradition, realizing that some ceremonies carried out through generations actually helps ground you in your background.
I was raised Lutheran, and this wasn't a specific Lutheran church, but it was really important in our church was the love for the outdoors, and we did lots of outdoor trips. That was the best part of being Lutheran.
Well, thank you all for being willing to share. And as you can see, there are many blessings that we heard, and I know there are blessings that you all hold in your heart of hearts that are also very true for you as you continue your spiritual path. Forrest Church, a Unitarian Universalist theologian, once wrote about the cathedral of the world. He asked us to imagine a vast, complex cathedral continually under construction for time immemorial. No matter where we wander in it, we can never see all of it. And yet we notice the light pouring in from numberless stained glass windows, each in its own way beautiful. As Church puts it, each tells a story about the creation of the world, the meaning of history, the purpose of life, the nature of humankind, the mystery of death. The windows of the cathedral are where the light shines in. He is referring to the light of God, or our name for that which is greater than all, yet present in each. The great unknowable mystery of existence, the sacred whole, the divine reality. Church goes on to say this: the light of God not only shines down upon us, but also out from within us. Together with the windows, the darkness and light, we are part of the cathedral, not apart from it. Together we comprise an interdependent web of being. If the cathedral is built of star stuff, so are we. But we are that part that contemplates the meaning of the whole. Because the cathedral is so vast, our time so short, and our vision so dim, we are able to contemplate only a tiny part of the cathedral, explore a few apses, reflect upon the play of darkness and light through a few of its windows. And yet, since the whole, holographically and organically, is contained in each of the parts, we ponder and act upon the insight from our ruminations. We may discover meanings that give coherence and meaning to both it and to us. And so may our rich and meaningful spiritual journeys help us to appreciate the insights and learnings from each of the windows we encounter. Let the light of God in some way, illuminating our lives. Let us be grateful for the blessings of our faiths. and the never-ending opportunity to explore more windows in the cathedral of the world. May it be so. Blessed be.